Welcome to my channel. Let me ask you something simple but powerful. Why do some people solve problems quickly while others stay stuck for months or even years? Why do some people stay calm in difficult situations while others feel lost and overwhelmed? Everyone has problems. No human life is free from challenges. But here is the interesting part. Very few people actually learn how to solve their problems. Most people worry about them, fear them, and avoid them. They think problems are punishment, but they are not. Problems are part of life. They are lessons, they are directions, and they are opportunities to grow. And here is the promise of today's video. After watching this, you will never look at problems the same way again. There is a simple system that successful people use to solve any problem in life, and today you will learn it step by step. So stay with me till the end, and let's begin your journey from confusion to clarity, from stress to strength, and from problem to solution. Chapter 1. Understand the nature of problems. Most people think that the problem itself is what hurts them, but the truth is, the problem is not the real enemy. The real enemy is confusion. When a problem appears in life, most people react in the same way. They worry, they panic, they complain, and then they avoid. Their mind becomes noisy, their emotions become heavy, and their imagination becomes negative. They think about the worst outcome. They think they are unlucky. They think life is unfair. And in that moment, the problem becomes bigger, not because the problem grew, but because confusion grew. People don't fear problems. People fear unclear problems. When something is unclear, your mind doesn't know how to handle it, so it creates fear. But when you understand a problem, the fear becomes smaller. Understanding gives control. Confusion takes it away. Here is a simple truth. Problems are not punishments. They are signals. Every problem you face is telling you something. Sometimes it is telling you to learn something new. Sometimes it is telling you to change something. Sometimes it is telling you to grow stronger. Problems push you to use your brain, to think deeper, and to become wiser. If life gave you no problems, you would never develop new abilities. You would never grow. You would stay the same forever. Growth always comes with challenges. Life improves every time you solve a problem. Think about it. The people who reach higher levels in life are not the ones with no problems. They are the ones who learn how to solve them. But here is the issue. We live in a confusion culture. People escape instead of solve. When they feel pressure, they run to distractions. They scroll social media, watch videos for hours, sleep all day, play games, talk negatively, or blame others. These things don't solve problems, they only delay them. And delayed problems become bigger problems. Instead of escaping, strong people try to understand. They ask, what exactly is happening here? And why is this happening? And what is this trying to teach me? This mindset is rare, but it is powerful. Let's do a small thought experiment. Imagine two people with the exact same problem. A financial problem, for example. Person A panics, complains, and says, "Why is this happening to me?" They avoid looking at their bank account, avoid asking for help, and avoid facing reality. Person B reacts differently. They stay calm. They ask, "What is my real situation? How much do I actually need? Where is the money going? What options do I have?" Now think carefully. Both people have the same problem, but only one of them is moving toward a solution. Why? Because one of them understood the problem. You cannot solve what you don't understand. Clarity reduces fear. When you understand something, your brain becomes peaceful. Your heart becomes steady. Your thoughts become organized. Imagine you are in a dark room and you hear a strange noise. You panic. Your mind imagines danger. But the moment you switch on the light and see it was just the wind, the fear disappears. The noise didn't change. Your understanding changed. This is how problems work. When you don't understand them, they feel 10 times bigger. When you understand them, they become manageable. Confusion makes small problems feel big. That is why some people break down over simple issues while others stay calm during big challenges. The difference is not strength. The difference is clarity. Clarity makes the mind strong. Confusion makes the mind weak. So from today, change how you look at problems. Instead of being afraid, become curious. Curiosity is stronger than fear. When something goes wrong, don't say, "Oh no, not again." Say, "What is this trying to show me?" That one question changes everything. Problems are like teachers. They give lessons and assignments. They challenge you to think, to adapt, and to grow. If you run away, you miss the lesson. If you face it, you collect wisdom. Now let's do a small exercise. Think of one problem you are facing right now. It can be anything: money, studies, health, language, relationships, confidence, or emotions. Don't judge it. Just choose one. Now pause for a moment and write this question somewhere. What exactly is the problem? Write the answer in simple words. No story, no drama, just facts. When you write the problem, it becomes clear. When it becomes clear, it becomes less scary. When it becomes less scary, you gain control. And control is the first step toward solving. If you want to handle problems like strong people, remember this rule for life. You cannot solve what you don't understand. Understanding is the foundation. Clarity is the key. Once you understand the problem correctly, the solution becomes visible. And this brings us to the next step of our journey. Once you understand a problem, you don't attack it directly as one giant piece. That is how people get overwhelmed. Instead, you break the problem into smaller parts and you solve it piece by piece. And that is what we will learn in Chapter 2, step by step. Chapter 2. Break problems into pieces. When people face a big problem, they often see it as one giant mountain. They think, "This is too much. I don't know where to start. I can't handle this." And because the problem feels large, heavy, and unclear, they stop before they even begin. A big problem feels scary. A big problem feels confusing. A big problem makes you feel powerless. But here is the truth. Successful people learn early in life. Big problems are not solved with big actions. Big problems are solved with many small steps. You do not climb a mountain in one jump. You climb it step by step, one small move at a time. There is a powerful psychological reason why small steps work. When a problem is big, your brain enters fear mode. It tries to protect you. It tells you to avoid, to delay, or to escape. But when you break that same problem into small pieces, your brain relaxes. It sees something manageable. Small steps create action. Action creates progress. Progress creates motivation. And motivation creates more action. This is how momentum is built, not by huge effort, but by consistent small moves. So let's learn the system. Here is what successful problem solvers do differently. Step 1. Write the problem down. When a problem stays in your head, it becomes emotional. Thoughts go in circles. You imagine the worst. You get stuck. But the moment you write the problem on paper or on your phone, something changes. It becomes clear. It becomes real. It becomes smaller. So take a moment and write it down. What exactly is the problem? Describe it in simple language without drama. This is clarity, and clarity is power. Step 2. Identify the parts. No big problem is one thing. Every big problem is made of smaller parts. For example, imagine someone has a problem with money. On the surface, it looks like one giant problem called financial stress. But if we break it down, it becomes pieces like income, expenses, savings, debt, skills, opportunities, habits, time management, and goals. See how that works? When you divide the problem into pieces, you suddenly see where the real issue is. Maybe the problem is not income. Maybe it is just spending. Maybe it is not spending. Maybe it is lack of skill or lack of financial planning. When you understand the pieces, you know where to focus. Step 3. Focus on the first controllable step. Most people get stuck because they think about step 10 when they are still at step 1. They say, I need to solve everything right now. But you don't need to solve everything. You only need to focus on the first small step that is in your control today. Ask yourself, what is one small thing I can do? That one question changes fear into movement. Step 4. Take micro-action. A micro-action means something so small that it is impossible to avoid. For example, if the problem is learning English, you don't need to study for 3 hours. Start with 5 minutes. Learn 3 new words. Watch one short video. Read one paragraph of a book. Small steps may look weak, but they are powerful because they are easy to start. Starting creates momentum. Momentum beats motivation. Step 5. Celebrate small wins. Most people only celebrate when they finish a big goal. But successful learners celebrate progress. They say, "Good, I took a step today." This is important because small wins create confidence. Confidence creates motion, and motion leads to success. Tell yourself, slow progress is strong progress, because slow means steady, and steady means unstoppable. Step 6. Be patient with the process. A river cuts through rock not because of force, but because of constant flow. Problems are the same. They demand patience. Many people quit right before the solution becomes visible. Don't rush. Don't expect overnight miracles. Small, consistent action over time always wins. Let's look at a few mini examples so you can feel how this works in daily life. Example 1. Improving English. Big problem. My English is weak. Small steps. Learn 5 new words. Watch 1 English video. Speak 5 sentences daily. Read 1 page. Suddenly the problem is not scary. It is just a few daily steps. Example 2. Health. Big problem. I need to get fit. Small steps. Drink more water. Take a 10-minute walk. Sleep earlier. Reduce sugar. Stretch 5 minutes. You don't need a gym membership to start. The journey begins with the smallest movements. Example 3. Finances. Big problem. I have money problems. Small steps. Track spending. Make a simple budget. Reduce 1 unnecessary expense. Increase 1 skill. Search for new income ideas. Money improves slowly, but consistently. Example 4. Relationships. Big problem. My relationships are difficult. Small steps. Improve communication, listen more, speak calmly, ask better questions, express appreciation. Relationships heal with patience and understanding. Example 5. Career. Big problem. I don't know what to do with my future. Small steps. Explore interests, research fields, talk to experienced people, try small projects, test skills. Clarity appears through action, not through thinking alone. Now let's do a small exercise. Take the problem you wrote in Chapter 1. Now break it into parts. Write down the pieces. Then choose the first small step. Do this now, even if it's on your phone. Because the moment you break a problem into pieces, you become someone who moves. You shift from fear to action, from stuck to progressing, from overwhelmed to in control. Chapter 3. Think like a problem solver. Most people don't fail because their problems are too big. They fail because their questions are too small. When problems appear, the average person asks emotional questions. Why is this happening to me? Or, why is life so unfair? These questions feel natural, but they are dangerous because they don't lead anywhere. They point the brain toward blame, panic, and helplessness. In other words, they trap you in a loop. But problem solvers do something different. They ask better questions, questions that activate the part of the brain responsible for creativity, logic, options, and solutions. That is the beginning of thinking like a problem solver. Misery expands when the mind is stuck in emotion. Solutions appear when the mind enters reason. But reaching reason is not automatic. It must be trained. And it starts with a simple rule. Better questions equals better solutions. This one rule alone can change entire lives because it changes how we experience difficulty. Most people use the wrong mental questions. When life becomes difficult, most people run to 2 places: complaining or avoidance. Complaining asks, who can I blame? Avoidance asks, how can I escape this? Neither path reduces the problem. They only reduce the awareness of the problem, temporarily. But awareness always returns. And when it returns, the problem is often bigger. Imagine two people with the same challenge, let's say debt. Person A asks, "Why am I always in this situation? Why does this always happen to me?" Person B asks, "What are my options? What can I control? What caused this situation? What can I learn from it?" Same problem. Two completely different futures. Person A becomes a victim of the problem. Person B becomes a student of the problem. Victims feel powerless. Students gain power. This distinction is psychological, not magical. Questions change. The brain's problem-solving mode. Neuroscience shows something interesting. When you ask the brain a question, it is forced to search for an answer. The brain cannot leave a question unanswered. It automatically begins scanning memory, patterns, and knowledge to find possibilities. This is why questions are powerful tools, not just thoughts. Ask weak questions, get weak answers. Ask strong questions, get strong answers. Here are 3 foundational questions that problem solvers use. 1. What is in my control? This question cuts the situation into 2 pieces: what you can do and what you cannot. The second category does not deserve your time. The first category deserves your energy. This question alone reduces anxiety, because anxiety feeds on uncertainty. Control brings clarity. Clarity brings action. 2. What options do I have? Options create motion. Even 3 possible actions are enough to turn paralysis into momentum. Options don't need to be perfect. They only need to be real. For example, learn something. Ask someone. Try something. Break it into steps. Adjust the plan. A person with options is never stuck. 3. What can I learn from this? This shifts difficulty into data. Pain turns into information. Information turns into strategy. Learning removes repetition. If you learn from a problem, you upgrade. If you ignore it, the problem repeats. Life keeps teaching until you learn the lesson. Then it introduces a new one. Complaining versus learning versus responsibility. Complaining kills solutions. It keeps attention on the problem, not the solution. It keeps you in the past, not the future. But there is another force that has the opposite effect. Responsibility gives power. Responsibility does not mean it's your fault. It means you have influence. It means you have a role. And when you have a role, you have a strategy. The victim mindset says, life is happening to me. The solver mindset says, life is responding to me. This difference creates different lives, asking for help, guidance, and knowledge. High-level problem solvers are not afraid to ask for help. They don't see help as weakness. They see help as accelerating learning. They ask mentors, books, courses, communities, and sometimes professionals. None of these reduce independence. They reduce friction. The smartest people in the world are obsessed with acquiring knowledge they don't yet have. If you cannot solve a problem alone, there is a high chance someone else already solved it and documented how. Interactive pause. Ask yourself right now. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, What is the problem? What is in my control? What options do I have? What can I learn from this? If you answer honestly, you are no longer stuck. You are already moving. Remember this powerful truth. You are not stuck. You just haven't asked the right question yet. Identity. Problems become easier when you become stronger. The puzzle doesn't change. The solver changes. Most people try to make life easier. Problem solvers make themselves stronger. This identity shift is subtle but life-changing. The moment you stop seeing problems as attacks and start seeing them as training, everything becomes lighter. At this point, you understand the mindset. But mindset alone does not fix anything. Thinking must translate into action. So now we move to the final stage. Chapter 4. Action solves problems. There is a silent trap that captures millions of people every single day. It looks intelligent, it feels responsible, and it sounds like planning. But in reality, it is something else entirely. It's called overthinking. Overthinking convinces you that you're making progress because your mind is active. You analyze, you review, you imagine, you calculate. But nothing actually changes in the real world. You can spend weeks thinking about a problem and still wake up with the same situation you started with. Overthinking is mental motion without physical progress. Let's make this relatable. Think of someone who wants to start going to the gym. They research workout plans, watch motivational videos, compare different programs, search for the best shoes, and ask for advice on supplements. 2 months pass. They know more, but they have not done more. Meanwhile, someone else simply puts on shoes and goes for a walk. 1 hour later, their health is already improving. 1 week later, habits are forming. 1 month later, results are visible. Action without perfection beats perfection without action every time. This brings us to the rule. Action kills fear faster than thinking. Fear grows in imagination. Solutions grow in movement. When you take action, even tiny action, the brain receives new data. That data updates confidence. Confidence updates identity. Identity updates behavior. Most people wait for confidence before acting. But confidence is produced by action. This is why waiting does not work. Waiting makes the problem heavier. Doing makes the problem lighter. The myth of the perfect plan. One of the reasons people don't act is because they're waiting for the perfect plan. But perfection is not a starting point. It is a result. No one begins with a perfect strategy. They begin with a willing attempt. You do not need the right answer to start. You just need a direction. A step forward is always more powerful than a perfect intention. Movement exposes mistakes. Mistakes expose solutions. Solutions create progress. Courage comes from doing. People often imagine courage as a personality trait, something you either have or don't have. But courage is built through repetition. Every action you take against fear shrinks that fear. Every time you act despite doubt, you become stronger. Courage is not the removal of fear. Courage is the decision to move anyway. You learn faster when you act. You grow faster when you act. You solve faster when you act. And most importantly, action builds identity. The moment you start acting, you stop being someone who wants to, and you become someone who does. That identity shift changes the whole trajectory of your life. Micro-actions, the secret tools. Big actions are scary. Big decisions feel heavy. So we use micro-actions, small movements that are so light the brain cannot block them. Here are 3 powerful micro-action tools. 1. The 5-second rule. When you know the next step, count down from 5 and move before the brain interrupts. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. It works because hesitation creates fear. Speed prevents overthinking. 2. The 1-step rule. Don't solve the entire problem. Just define the next step, only the next one. Once you complete it, define the next again. This removes overwhelm and creates momentum. 3. The 10-minute rule. Commit to 10 minutes of action, not the entire project. If motivation is low, reduce the time, not the goal. The trick: once you start, 10 minutes often becomes 30 or 60 automatically. The brain resists starting, not continuing. Apply this today, not tomorrow. Pause for a second. Think of a current problem or goal. Now apply micro-action thinking to it. What is the next tiny step? Can you start in 5 seconds? Can you do 10 minutes today? Do not wait for motivation. Do not wait for the weekend. Do not wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is created by motion, not by time. Mistakes are not failures. Every mistake is a lesson. Mistakes give information. They reveal the path. Failure only occurs when movement stops. The world does not reward those who never fail. It rewards those who learn quickly. Identity shift. Become someone who moves. At some point, the problem is no longer the problem. The real problem becomes the habit of not acting. When you become someone who moves, problems lose their power. They become puzzles instead of prisons. Movement makes you dangerous in a good way. It makes you adaptable. It makes you resilient. It makes you capable. The final transformation. By now, you have the system. 1. Understand the problem. Chapter 1. 2. Break it into pieces. Chapter 2. 3. Think like a solver. Chapter 3. 4. Act until solved. Chapter 4. This is the formula used by successful people across every field. Clarity to breakdown, to strategy, to action. With these 4 ingredients, any problem becomes solvable. Not instantly, not effortlessly, but reliably. Because at the end of the day, solutions live in the real world, and the real world responds to action. If this video helped you think differently about problems, take a moment and reflect on what part hit you the hardest. Was it the idea of breaking problems into pieces? Was it asking better questions? Or was it finally acting instead of overthinking? Tell me in the comments. I read every one of them, and I genuinely want to know what connected with you. If you found value here, consider liking this video and sharing it with someone who might need it. Small actions make a big difference in helping this channel reach more people who are trying to improve their lives. And if you want to keep growing, solving, and building a stronger mindset, make sure to subscribe. This channel is just getting started, and I'd love for you to be part of the journey. We have a lot more to explore: confidence, discipline, clarity, purpose, focus, and how to build a life you're actually proud of. The next video goes even deeper into how successful people think and make decisions, so you don't want to miss it. Remember, the world doesn't change when you understand. The world changes when you apply. So keep moving,